Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi, and today we have our first team report from Vancouver Regionals, and I'm joined by two top players. I am joined by Sohaib Mufti. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you.
And do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Sohaib, and I've been playing VGC since 2014, and I've been to multiple regionals. I've cut multiple regionals, and I've placed top 32 at internats and various other online tours. So I've been playing for a very long time.
hmm And I'm also joined by Izzy. How are you doing, Izzy?
Hey, I'm doing good. Big fan of the channel and glad to have a chance to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you are glad that you decided to come on the channel and share your team. But for those who don't know you, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Izzy or Izzy22X in Twitch or Twitter. I am one of those BGC players that started during COVID. During COVID, and I went to indie, and recently, probably my best run was Vancouver. I made top 8 with an undefeated run. With probably one of the hardest schedules too. So yeah, one of my successful and Hive actually was is I call him my senpai, like my teacher. He's being one of my inspirations to get better, and we built this team together pretty much.
Yeah, like you said, you finished top 8 and with a really, really difficult schedule, really, really impressive run through that tournament. But Sohaib, I know you said that you started building this team originally. Talk me through your team building process.
Sure. So initially, I had started with Whimsicott over the Grimmsnarl, and I had Zapdos over the Incineroar slot. Basically, my initial idea was like, I'll just go fast and I will just try to KO as many things as possible. But in New Jersey regionals, and I really got to find out that, yeah, it's like it, when you have a good matchup, you can easily stream roll through that. But if it gets a little bit hard, the team was not very flexible at all. And I was having a lot of issues against Calyrex types of teams because I had no resistances, so it's like they can easily get a KO on my Pokemons because they were not as bulky and just steamroll through that. So that's how I got into Incineroar. And then I still had Whimsicott, but like Izzy was the one that was like they just kept saying that she loves Grimmsnarl, and I'm like, okay, maybe Grimmsnarl is not as bad because it definitely patches the um, Calyrex issue. It gives us the next extra bulk that we need. And then I came up to Amoonguss because I realized you guys, Adi, you, Alex, and Justin were killing with Calyrex Palkia, and I'm like, yeah, if you don't have a Mon dedicated for that matchup, it will be very, very hard time for Izzy because you guys, the previous weekend, you guys had done an amazing job at that regional. So that's how the Amoonguss came because I had reviewed Pengi's matches too, and he he played well, but it was a very like uphill battle for him against the Calyrex teams. And with your Gothitelle, it's extremely, extremely hard to even switch around. So that's how the Amoonguss came. And then Izzy was the one that started to refine the team a little bit more from here. Yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had these 6 going into the week before the regional after your New Jersey run. Izzy, what did you think of the team initially, and what type of changes did you make?
Yeah. So for example, Incineroar actually was we tried the we based a lot of our original six, which are the Zapdos, based on Pengi's results. Like as so I mentioned, we did find Kali, Rex Shadow, Tondi, a very, very extremely annoying matchup to deal with. And he actually had he reflect burning jealousy. I tried that line a couple of times, but it wasn't like super reliable. So I didn't want to go the burning jealousy way, to be honest, and which is why Among Us was also part of there. It's like maybe with a little bit of redirection, we can work around it. So um and I also really know that Venusaur is very popular into the NA meta. So Incineroar actually used to be Shukaberry, and I had to sell it really hard to Sohive. He was not into it. He was like, I like parting shotting in front of Max Quakes. I was like, no, no, trust me, trust me. We need the safety goggle. And then Darkest Larian, actually, I actually had Brady Smith also a little helping me a double check. And we actually thought Darkest Larian was probably pretty good potentially for like Soa matchups. I didn't encounter any of it, but like having Darkest Larian, I knew like that I could just not worry about like the buffs they could have if I was to happen to match, because I didn't know what to expect obviously in the meta, but there's always that one person that brings Solgaleo, and I mean it kind of tough card, so it was worth it. And then Thunderwave versus Scary Face was another thing I actually really wanted as Scary Face for the longest time, but Sohaib persuaded me, no, let's go back to T-Wave, and T-Wave really came clutch, especially in my stream match versus Gavin. So we kept it there. It was pretty good because once we had Among Us, we we're less worried about TR. So Thunderwave just seemed to be better for the other annoying Pokemons that we might want to try to control with speed. And I think the Rillaboom, Penki's original has seed because the AB is obviously in the ogre, but we wanted. I personally like high horsepower and U-turn and grassy glide, and actually having fake out. I wasn't gonna. I momentarily thought about not having fake out, but I also did talk to Pengi, and he told me, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do that again. I just got away with that in Indy. So he's right. Like it's one of those like you do it one time and you get away with it, but I don't think I could have gotten away with it easily not having, and just having double fake out pressure in general is really nice. I really like Substation. However, once again, NA likes their dragons, so I had to be play rough, and it came clutch. Once I didn't miss it, I surprisingly miss a lot of play roughs during my entire thing, which was funny because I was with Burns, and I think I did miss one with you, Addy, in our match. But and then Kyogre, we always wanted to try Life Orb. I didn't like AV particularly because of how the 6 Koyama, like Kyogre is our main, obviously main maxer. So our main like let's go burr. So standard movesets over there, and it hits hard. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Kyogre just hit so hard. It 2-shot my Feeny, which is special defense invested, while max, which was just absolutely insane with Max Geyser. So I know you don't want to share the EV spreads for the team, but were there any other notable things about the Pokemon, how they were trained, and your item and move choices that you wanted to talk about?
Not particularly. It is mostly like the EVs are not fully mine. Some of them are from other people that they want to keep it. So that's what. But like it's kind of mostly a standard set. And just because we don't know if we're gonna be using this in NIC, I do want to keep like a couple of calcs secret, but it's pretty standard. It's just the way we use it, and it just fits our style. Like most people, I know a lot of people were saying like I was watching my match and saying like, yeah, Kyogre is your only max. What is going to happen? But it's the way the team works that fits my play style and Sohaib's now. And I think that, comfort has been so important in key. So it's more like, yes, it looks like I only have one maxer, but the way the team works around this maxer is what makes this shine. It's like the restricteds are your shiny. Like Sation just I don't know how to max it. It just hurts. Like play rough. Like we'll do a lot. B-Blade just it in my match against Yomar, it just took both Kyogre and their Zapdos no max. B-Blade just half of their HP, and that was like before screens. So it's just minor things like that. That is more. Yes, it might look weird to just have one, but there's still more power, and the other Pokemon support the team so well. It's just it might not be a team for everyone, but it fits me and Sohaib.
Mm-hmm. And it's also, it looks like a pretty standard Kyogre team, but it also sounds like you guys had a really clear idea of what was giving the other versions of Swordfish that were more common, a lot of trouble, and really like optimize the team to beat those sort of teams. Can you talk me through the game plans that you had for some of the teams that you expected to face in this tournament?
Yeah, for sure. So for Swordfish, actually, I know I did list my match with John Mark, but the Swordfish is we prep for Pengi 6 and then also for Owens always six. And usually, Sation, Grimmsnarl, and Kyogre were the three main Pokemons we always bring. Screens is just so powerful, and obviously Kyogre being my max, late max Kyogre always like will be the advantage, and just forcing them to deal with my Station. Because for example, always I don't think they have an Incineroar. I think it's just Lando. So if I just pivot it correctly, I Sation can just KO the Lando max or no max with B blades. And then when it comes to Pengi 6 is probably the trickiest one, for sure, because it depends on how the other player does. Because I expected John Mark to just turn one Dynamax uh their Zapdos, for example, like and it has Eerie Impulse, so I do have to protect my Kyogre. And then I usually do have Rillaboom because their Kyogre is AB, so it's like being board positioning versus the mirror is very very important, and just trying to like they can out bulk me, but I've you try to do the initial damage and clean up late. So that was always the plan. Just messed it up a little. And then Lunalodon was a little tricky. I didn't actually expect to see it, but I had a soft plan. Again, I had to respect the Venu. Grim Incineroar always was going to be my plan. And then a late max because it was the goal. The goal always was trying to force the Lunalodon to max first. And I said, screens is so important. Like I literally Sage and Kyogre and Green were like the three Pokemons I almost always brought to every single matchup. Uh, and then for the Kali Sation Tondi teams, which weirdly enough I didn't face any, but Among Us actually was going to be coming clutch. Um, Kyogre pretty much like KOs the Tondi. So behind screens or with like a redirector, like I just steamed through them. That like we will have to, and then the matchup I was the most scary with, and I remember this very vividly because I actually had forgotten the lines, and I had to like text Sohaib. It's like, what do I do against Kali Ice Palkia? It's like I remember we got this mushroom, so why? So the goal obviously it was Station Among Us. Pretty much, I forced you to, force for them to like hypnosis or one of my two Pokemons because I will spore you or I will play rough your Palkia or Beyblade your Glacier depending. So it was tricky, right? Because it pretty much like I just thought like okay I'm just gonna force this 50-50. You get it right, you get it wrong, and it actually worked out really nicely that you guys had Fini because then I always knew that almost always knew Fini was gonna come, and if you risk not bringing Fini, I just was free to sport because I'm Sash. I actually kept the Sash secret for the longest time in all the matches. I don't think I revealed it for Burns, so I think you were the last one to see that they actually was Sash. And then in the back, I had it was Insane or Rillaboom depending on how I felt like you guys might bring stuff. For instance, the restaurant team, like Serapi's team, Kyogre we just ignored the restaurant. Like we tested it, and Kyogre Grim just going through. Like most of the time, it was just Kyogre Grim. But yeah, that was pretty straightforward plans, but they work because I don't think people were expecting this kind of team, especially the life or Kyogre. So I think it caught a lot of people off guard with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that for us, we were looking at the Kyogre teams we were expecting to face at this regional, and we were mostly looking at the Shedinja variant that did really well at the French regional the previous weekend, as well as, of course, Pengi 6 that have always been common, and of course, Sean Mark did use that to get top 4. But was kind of expecting a decline in Amoonguss, especially since we started to see a lot more Alchemy and Tapu Fini on these Calyrex Ice teams. So it was really interesting that you managed to do it, and the foul play and the focus sash really made it a lot bigger threat in that matchup specifically than we had anticipated and that we had sort of built around. So that was really cool to see and definitely pulled its weight.
Yes, so foul play Among Us is my baby. I love foul play Amoonguss so much. It's like I keep advocating it because I feel like Giga Drain, Seed Bomb, Energy Ball, they don't do that much damage at all. Once you get Parting Shot or Intimidated, the damage just goes down. But with foul play, you're always doing that consistent damage. And you have like even the Zacians, they can easily take like 20 to 30% depending on like what nature they are or whatever attacks that they're hitting. It's just so nice, you know. It's like people think, oh, they can switch in these mons, but foul play just does so much damage to them. So it's just such a nice consistent damage that you get from foul play. And plus, like
Mhm.
it makes Calyrex ice teams a little bit more manageable too. So
Yeah. And then I guess the other matchup that you guys didn't really talk about is Rinya's Sun. Obviously, not as common anymore, but still Groudon Zacian, definitely something that you should be aware of. What was your game plan going to that matchup?
So it's
so
kind of an auto loss.
well, it's not an auto loss really, but
Kind of.
I just told her that you're not gonna see any Rinyasan
There
at
there
all.
was top 32. I just avoided it. But yes,
But it's like
uh,
your odds of
our
seeing that is like I feel like you're more likely to see Kyurem White than you're to see Rinyasan now. So I was just like, let's pretend it's not real right now. So
he
we'll
actually
just
did
focus.
tell me that. And I was like, Sohaib, if I lose because of my win and in because of this, it's on you. And he's like, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
That's
that's
so
why we
funny.
didn't mention it. Yeah, we don't. It's not. It's Yeah, we don't really have a. It's tricky. It's
Yeah, it's
tricky.
tricky. We have the tools, but it's not as like positive as you would
Yeah,
like it to be.
we just accepted the auto loss pretty much. Um,
Hmm. And honestly, that's like a pretty reasonable meta call, just given how its usage has consistently declined. I think there was one in top 32 of New Jersey regionals. Like you said, I think there was one in top 32 here at Vancouver as well. So really declining in popularity, but also like you said that you didn't have a great matchup. I know Serapis said the Reshiram Cali Ice team did not have a great matchup. More and more teams that don't do too well are popping up. So maybe it's just time for Rinja Sun to make a revival. We'll see.
Yeah, it's that wheel of VGC. You know, it's just these things keep spinning around. Next thing you know, maybe in NAIC, Rinyasan just comes back out of nowhere, and nobody's prepared for it.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind when team building. It's
Mhm.
certainly a team that I want to keep respecting, but also, uh, and when you can cover everything else so well, and like you said, you expect to see all these other teams a little more often right now. It's fair to discount that matchup and not worry about it as much. Uh, but yeah, so do you want to talk? Or so, did you have anything to add about the matchup spread or other matchups that you wanted to talk about?
Uh, did we miss any matchups? I, I don't think we missed any matchups, right? But basically, like most of our game plans revolve around Kyogre, and just positioning it well because it's Life Orb. So our like in our team, like the Dynamax is much more important than the other teams because as you can see, like it's just Zacian and Kyogre carrying most of the offense. So we have to be like really really careful with where we max and where we try to get most of the KOs. So um, a lot of our like matchups overall is pretty flexible. So it's like we don't have like a hard cutout. Like okay, we have to bring these four in each game. So we can definitely be more flexible in that regards. But it's just
Yeah,
we have to be really careful with our maxes.
hmm makes a lot of sense. Um, and so, Izzy, you of course had a really impressive performance. You went undefeated in Swiss before losing in top eight, partially because of a team sheet error. Do you want to talk to me about one or two notable matches throughout your Swiss run?
uh, I think one of the notable matches was actually round five. Um, I I forgot his name, but they had the Palkia Station team with Inditi, Whimsicott, and two other months that I don't particularly remember. But he pretty much brought Palkia Station, Inditi, Whimsicott versus me, and I was a little worried because I mean Swordfish loses to Palkia Station or like Palkia, right? I couldn't do anything to it, at least not while Max. Um, so it was kind of terrifying. The Thankfully because he also had Whimsicott, in and like it was say the other sensations, like I knew, Palkia Station always just like brings Palkia. You're gonna probably bring Station. So you probably bring in Didi if you're gonna set up Trick Room, but I mean, uh, he actually like just is straight up. I'm very grateful it was so straight up, but I was like Indeedee Palkia, and then I believe I did Grim Kyogre, and what I did was I'm just gonna ignore this Palkia because I'm setting light screen, and I'm just gonna KO everything on the side. It ended up working for the most part, but there was a little they had to miss a hydropone, and I was very terrified because I think it was I almost like lost on that round because if they hadn't missed the hydropone on the Incineroar. But yeah, I just wasn't sure how to deal with that matchup, so I was just hoping Kyogre carry me, kill all these things on this like KO all these things on the side, and then we will save Station in the back with Play Rough, because I actually also miss a Play Rough, but I brought it well with Rillaboom, I think, in that. And then the other one, I probably think my favorite match was probably with you, Addy. Not you fangirl, okay? A big fan. And then I'm getting you, table one. Knew that both of us are winning in. I mean, it was just seating purposes. And I just like I think it was game 2 where we pretty much were sleeping each other's Pokemon. And
Game 3.
and then
I did not
was
bring
in 3.
until game 3. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So game 3, right? The board, I believe it was Goth and either Incineroar or Palkia, and then I brought Among Us Station. So I think you missed the first Hypnosis, but then I sleep either your Incineroar or Palkia, and then I go try to sleep your no. Actually, you hit it because you sleep my Station. Yeah, no, you sleep my Station, and then you missed the second Hypnosis, and I hit my Spore on your because I was going for your Goth. Yeah. So, but pretty much the board was like we had just 3 sleeping Pokemons, and my Among Us surviving there and trying to do a little damage here, and then you wake up, and then sleep my Pokemon, and it was just we were just like looking at each other and just like who's gonna wake up next. And I actually like. Well, I just thought it was really funny, just the fact that because it was a no, not really a pressure game for either of us. It will have been nice to win, right? Sitting will have been a lot nicer for both in a way, but yeah, I just thought it was really funny just to like who's gonna wake first, because I think that was very important, because I do think you ended up getting like the less sleep, but because you hit you I'm pretty sure you click Hypnosis 5 times and you hit them 4, and I was like terrified because your accuracy.
Yeah, day 1 of the tournament, I think I went like 20 for 25 on Hypnosis. I really cooked it a lot, and I hit like 80%.
Wow.
But yeah, no, that matchup was fun because, like you said, we have no stakes, and you had beaten up. You beat 4 Palkia in your Swiss roll, which is insane for a Kyogre team. You beat 3 different Palkia Cali Ice variants, and I was the last one, and I talked to the other 2, and they were like, "Okay, well, we tried to do God stuff, and it didn't work. It was like okay, it was playable, but you should try out other stuff to see if there's other game plans." And so I decided, let's not bring Goth. Let's see what happens. And I noticed that you were playing very, very aggressively. I got to exploit that in game 2. I got to call you out on one of your more aggressive plays and just OHKO your Zation when I probably shouldn't have been able to. But also you're like aggressive. You maxed a Kyogre and like maxed Geyser to Feeny and called my Calyrex Ice Switch in game 1, which kind of ended the game that way. So game 1 and 2 felt like they were very offensive, very read heavy. And then game 3, I was like, okay, let's just pivot. Let's see if she does something else. I'm going to go Gothitelle. This has worked in the past. And it was just such a crazy game. But it was really fun. That was also the round where the cruise ship horn went off. And so there was like a 2-minute period where it was just like ridiculously loud in the entire venue and you couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. It's like, but yeah, and I was surprised because I definitely didn't want to show more info than I needed to. Mm-hmm. So I just kept the same lead because I mean, you're not really beating it. So I was like, I'm just going to keep the same lead and see what you change, because I expected at least to face you or Burns potentially in top card. So I was like, I'm not going to show you my new game plan. So I'm just going to do the same thing. You at least need to figure out how to beat this lead, right? So for sure.
Yeah, it was a fun match. It ended up coming down to a spatial rend on the Kyogre that I missed, and I was in Thunder range from my Palkia, and you took that. But really close game. Honestly, I think we both would have been better off if I had won that match. Just saying, because I think I could have beaten Jean Marc again. I beat him in Swiss, and you would have had, I think, John who I think you probably have a pretty good matchup into Eternatus stuff because that was his loss in his Swiss as well, was to Jean Marc.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. We couldn't have known. We couldn't have known
We
what
could,
the
yeah.
results were going to be. And yeah, it was a really impressive Swiss run again. Kyogre Zacian beating 4 Palkia in Swiss is pretty insane. And of course, you did play your top base set and you lost to Jean Marc, partially because of a team sheet error. Do you want to tell everyone what happened?
Oh my goodness gracious. So I actually, this hurts even more. So I was at the border of Canada. Like, so what happened is my Kyogre in my team situation had adamant stats. But I my Kyogre in game obviously wasn't, because otherwise I wouldn't have 7-0. But yeah, so the thing is, my Kyogre was given to me and because it's an event Kyogre from Ultra Series, and it's naturally adamant. So when I was like, I had the team lock and everything by Wednesday. So when I did the sheet and stuff initially, I didn't realize that it was adamant. I had someone initially look at it. We fixed it in game, and I thought I fixed it in RK9 too. Okay, and now here's the part that hurts even more. I was at the border of Canada, and as I finally had internet on my own, and I go to RK9 and I look at my Kyogre, and it's actually fixed. So what I didn't know I was supposed to do was, after you fix it, guys, you have to resubmit your team. I told this to Alyssa, so they put a disclaimer because I'm new, right? I think most people probably know that they were supposed to resubmit. I didn't. I thought, magically just, it will just do it. But I suppose it makes sense that I'm supposed to resubmit my team after fixing my Pokemon. So it hurts. It really hurts because I think I needed to play a game with Jean Marc to get a feeling of how he plays, because I was a little weirded out by how passive he played, and then I did some minor mistakes that pretty much cost me the run a little. So it's one of those, but lesson learned. I'm gonna triple check now.
So
Always
that's the thing.
double check, triple check your team sheets. That's the worst way to lose a set by far.
So Izzy's really good at if she loses a game, she's really good at reanalyzing the game and just coming off better. So when she lost her game on stream, I'm like, okay, this is fine. She now knows how to play against it. And then I'm like, hold on, she already had a game lost, so this is already over for her. But yeah, that was really unfortunate.
Like, the loss was also, I think that he got like a very timely paralysis with Thunderwave, and he clicked Thunderwave turn 1. Like, he was going to get one eventually, but that game plan where like I'm going to click Thunderwave and hope that I get at least one timely paralysis turn works a lot better when it only has to work once in 2 games rather than twice in 3 games. So I don't know if he would do that in a best of 3, but where he only has to win 1 of 2, you definitely play the matchup a little differently, and it worked out really well for him, of course, just because that's just Pokemon.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
But yeah, those are all the questions that I had about the team. It's obviously a really, really powerful team. Kyogre Zacian has probably just the most consistent team in this format. And like we talked about in the past, you can build it in so many different ways to counter the metagame. And I think he did a really good job of anticipating what the metagame would look like at Vancouver Regionals and building a team to beat that really effectively. Did you have anything else that you want to talk about, or any shout outs that you want to give?
I just want to shout out to like the Robins and to the to my friends Hannah, Joey, Helios, especially those 3, and then Tank too. Like, they all, besides Sohaib, they always been like helping me in the back, and then NJ for like that midnight call to go through the game plans too. I wouldn't have like done as far without like their support. I'm from believer, like, if you find a good group of friends, try to work together. Teamwork works most of the time. So they, like, I share this success with them. Like, I always try to begin it. Look, this is not just me. Yes, I was there, but like the team, like the practice, the lines, like they all all got me also there in a way. So yeah.
Yeah. So, Hype, did you have any shout outs that you wanted to give?
Uh, n- Not really. Pretty much it was Izzy's run, so I was just mostly helping her. So I'm really happy to see her do really well. You know, she's been playing this game seriously for a while. So, and now she has a really good performance next to her name. So now people will be more taking her more seriously. So I'm really happy and really proud about that.
I will have
Yeah.
an achievement next time I'm in stream.
Yes, next time when you see her on stream, she will have an
Top
achievement
A.
section. But yes, uh,
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on. It was a really, really impressive run at Vancouver Regionals, and congratulations again for that. Until next time, I will see you all later.